So my article is Food Packaging and Bisphenol A and bis-2 ethahexyl phthalate exposure, findings from a dietary intervention. And the authors are listed here: Ruthin A. Rudel, Janet Gray, Connie Engel, Teresa Rothsthorn, Robin Dodson, Janet Ackerman, Jean Rizzo, Janet Noodleman, Julia Brody. That's it. So, the argument is listed in this first paragraph here. BPA exposure is widespread and can potentially lead to BPA-induced endocrine disruption. So, this first paragraph right here says exposure is widespread with detectable levels in urine samples from greater than 90% of the U.S. population. A wide body of evidence from in vitro, animal, and epidemiological studies indicates the potential for BPA-induced endocrine disruption in a number of organ systems. And then it also mentions phthalates are another common class of endocrine disrupting chemicals produced in high volumes and widely used in consumer goods, including food packaging. So the methods are listed right here. 63 families in the greater San Francisco Bay Area responded to letters on 5 listservs by completing a brief online survey about demographic characteristics and diet over the previous 2 days. Out of these 63 families, 5 were ultimately chosen to participate in the study. Their BPA and phthalate levels were measured at 3 different intervals: pre-intervention, post-intervention, or pre-intervention, during the intervention, and post-intervention. And the intervention diet consisted of a diet that included mostly fresh foods and as little to no canned or packaged or processed foods. So the evidence for the survey is listed here. Each participant provided a urine sample in the evening, usually after dinner, on days 1 and 2, 4 and 5, and 7 and 8. No samples were collected on days 3 and 6 while participants were transitioning to and from the intervention. Specimens were double-bagged and stored in freezers until they were ready to be picked up. After pickup, they were stored in a freezer overnight and shipped to the lab for processing and analysis. Findings were over here. All but one of the analytes in 100% of the samples were detected. It was shown that BPA and metabolites for DHP were significantly higher during the pre-intervention than those who participated in a similar study back in 2007 and 2008 by the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey. So this kind of leads me to believe that as time goes on, our packaging becomes more and more contaminated with these chemicals, which would lead to higher pre-intervention results. During the intervention, the levels were significantly lower, and after returning to their regular diets, the levels went back to what they were in the pre-intervention state. The implications are down here. The study suggested that most BPA and DEHP intake was from the canned and processed food packaging. These chemicals are mostly found in things like plastic, and a lot of microwavable foods and foods in general that aren't fresh are packaged in plastic. It also, I thought it was kind of interesting that this study showed that that restaurant meals also showed a higher level of exposure. You would think that restaurant food would be a lot more fresh and natural, but this study showed otherwise. And finally, for use, this is all stuff. For use, the article relates to my research question because BPA and DHP are both chemicals and toxins that when your body is exposed to them can lead you to become sick and very ill and possibly even poisoned. So what I plan on doing in my research paper is finding another article that specifically talks about their effect on the body and then tying that into this source and how, processed foods can make you sick based on their packaging.